What's up, my good people of the internet? Hanging out here with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. I'm happy to be here with you, with Murph, and we are here starting the broadcast at 9:11 on 9/11. So officially starting the show at 9:11 a.m. Eastern Time on September 11th. And before we go anywhere, what I would like to do for all of us watching and listening around the world is to take a moment of silence for the heroes that gave their lives that day. Saying 3,000 people is not enough because there was families. There was husbands, wives, children, moms, dads, grandparents, people connected all over the world to those who passed away that day. And not only connected with them all over the world to those that passed away that day, but beyond that, all of the people that were affected by a day that will go down in history. A day that America rose. A day that America said, okay, you punched us in the mouth, we're going to get back up again. A day where we could build together, work together, learn together, and never forget what it felt like to be so hurt and how important it is to be together. So, on this memorial of 9/11, I pray and I hope that you will practice more time together, live together, and do better in this country to be a part of someone else's life, a perfect stranger, by simply opening a door, saying hello, smiling, or being a little bit kinder in traffic even. Murph, welcome to the show.
It's nice to be here actually in person this week. September 11th is always a day that always goes on a somber note because of the significance of what happened on that day. And I hope you don't mind. I'm going to quickly share one of my memories from 9/11. It's kind of an indirect memory.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to be my first day of preschool, and I remember my mom telling me that my grandma had called her on the phone before we had left for school in the morning.
Yeah.
And she had basically told my mom to turn on the TV. Did not say anything else, just told her to turn on the TV. My mom kind of told her, I got to get Brendan ready to take her to school and everything. She goes, stop what you're doing and turn on the TV. And that's all she said.
Yeah.
And we turned on the TV, and thank God we didn't actually see the second tower get hit.
Yeah.
But it was shortly thereafter that we had turned the TV on. And obviously, I was 3 years old. I didn't necessarily understand what was happening, but as I've gotten older and, understood it more and realizing the effects of that day and
yeah,
all the lives that were lost, all the heroes that were working so hard to save lives that day. You can't be more grateful for them and, those people that just woke up in the morning to go to work in the World Trade Center that never made it home. As horrible as a feeling that is, the ultimate sacrifice that they made really did bring this country together. And that was one of the first times that legitimately happened in a long time.
Yeah.
Because you got to think, that was a point in our country's history where tensions were a little high. I think people were still kind of reeling off of the 2000 election when it drew out into December, when nobody knew whether or not Al Gore or George Bush won the state of Florida.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some people weren't all that happy about George Bush becoming the president, but if nothing else, that moment brought us all together. And I think you can't, obviously there's other things that we can talk about that have come from September 11th, But, the one that sticks out in my mind was 10 days later during the very first sporting event back in New York City.
Yeah.
My childhood hero, Mike Piazza, hit a home run late in the game against the Braves to give the Mets a 3-2 lead, which in a game where they eventually won.
Yeah.
And, ultimately that moment made everything okay. Because there were so many first responders, firefighters, police officers, families of the fallen that were at that game. And everyone just got up in their seats and just cheered for a baseball game. 10 days after one of the deadliest days in American history.
Yeah.
And it kind of made everything seem okay. And then it was fitting that the Yankees eventually marched to the World Series. It would have been more fitting had they had won. As much as I hate to say that, being a diehard Mets fan and a big-time Yankees hater, but it would have been more fitting had they had won.
Yeah.
But it's the aura of September 11th that always gets to me. And I'm very mad at myself, everybody, obviously taking the 3-hour drive up to Syracuse from the Poconos. I forgot the one thing that I always love to wear on September 11th. I have an NYPD hat that I always wear on September 11th, and I forgot it. So, my apologies for that. Let's just imagine this Tobacco Road hat says NYPD. Obviously, somewhere NYPD, somewhere FDNY, somewhere, ambulance departments, whatever, for other first responders that you had that day.
Yeah.
I always go NYPD because of the significance of it to me. I've got countless family members that either are current or former NYPD.
Yeah.
So I use it as a way to honor them and, honor the fallen that day.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you sharing that. When somebody says that, when I think of September 11th, I have an immediate memory back, and I can put myself on the staircase in my high school. And I was a junior in high school, and I remember pretty much everything. I remember being in geography class with Mr. Sacco, and I remember there was a girl that was sitting next to me. I looked over at her. My buddy was behind her. He was talking to her. I remember being in that room. Class ended. You see the giant pile of people outside, and it was the last time that nothing was happening. It was the last time that it was that people didn't necessarily know. And so, people are going by, and then somebody was like, I think somebody came in and said, turn the TV on. Or they said, didn't you hear? And there's people kind of going through the pile, and some people know and some people didn't know, but we're all in the hallway together. And then you kind of hear whispers and little murmurs, this and that. And then I go downstairs, I go to my religion class, and I think somebody had said to me, like, they grabbed me and they're like, hey, you got to turn the TV on. So I went in there and I was talking to the teacher, and I said, can I turn the TV on? And she said, no, sit down. And then I said, no, like, seriously, can I turn the TV on? I feel like we need to see this. And she was like, no, Daniel. And I was like, okay. So then I went and I sat down, and something inside me was like, nah, we gotta. And then I think somebody else said something, or like they stopped in the hallway, and then she looked right at me and she goes, do you know how to do it? And I said, yeah. She goes, turn it on. It wasn't even the cord for like the cable wasn't even plugged in. So I turn on the TV, and as I'm turning on the TV, the first tower that fell, which was the second tower. So it was like, tower. Yeah. So the first tower that fell, it fell almost right after I turned the TV on. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, oh, like in my head, it was a movie. In my head, Harrison Ford was going to come save the day. Like it wasn't real to me. And I had to kind of snap myself out of it when I was watching it to be like, no, Dan, like this is happening right now. And then I remember I walked up the stairs, and I was by the staircase that would have brought me out the side way from the school. And when I was walking up the stairs, I turned and I looked down the hallway, the long hallway, and there was nobody in the hallway. It was silent, and I was the only person in the hallway. And I remember thinking to myself, like, every step that I take now, like, I'm going to remember this forever. And then I came home, and I don't even remember how I got home. And then I came home, and I was sitting at the table. They had given us homework. And I said to my mom was in the kitchen. She was off to my right. And I had social studies homework. And I said, how am I supposed to do homework on history when I'm living it right now? Is what I said to my mom.
Man, your homework should have almost been, something about your experiences during the day. As hard, as heavy as that is. But it probably would have been a better assignment.
Well, and yeah. And I could, because it was like, whatever, history stuff. And then my dad came home, but he came through the back door. And so he came like through the fence, and then he came up the porch, the back porch. And I was like, why isn't he coming through the back door? I was so confused. I opened the door. The day was perfectly sunny, like 72, some clouds, blue, little coolness in the air. Mm-hmm. And I opened the door, and then I opened the screen, and my dad didn't. I'm gonna cry. My dad didn't say anything. And he grabbed me, and he hugged me, and he hugged me so tight. I said, "Dad, you're hurting." Like, I could feel my bones moving in my body. And he just hugged me in silence, and I asked him why. And he said, because for the first time in your life, I don't know what's going to happen next. And that...
Nobody did.
It's, people say they can't remember what they had for lunch, but I can literally... I just lived 2001, 22 years ago. I can literally go there right now and live that.
There's always those moments in life where everyone absolutely remembers exactly where they were, what they were doing.
JFK. That was one of my parents.
Yeah, the one that everyone talks for people that are probably... My dad's probably a little too young to remember JFK. Cause
baby boomers.
Yeah. But the thing that baby boomers remember, they'll remember the day JFK was shot.
Like everything about that day.
Everything about it. They'll remember... even I think a lot of them kind of remember the day Ronald Reagan was shot, even though he didn't die.
Yeah, shot twice in his time.
You ever see the speech that he was doing where a balloon popped in the background after he got shot, and he stopped in the middle of the speech and said, "Miss me." Everybody just cracked up laughing.
I mean, Ronald Reagan, if people don't, and I don't care where your politics lie, I mean, to talk about an OG, like... an original gangster, shot twice, and he's like, y'all can't kill me. Like, I mean, he died of God's timing later on down the road. So, I mean, yeah, if there's ever a president that could be like...
he was also hysterical.
Yeah, like a little Superman, and he was an actor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He always, during the debate in '84, they had asked him about like his age and if it was going to be an effect to his campaign, and he flat out said like, I'm not going to make age an issue of this campaign. He's like, Henry goes, I am not for 1 second going to exploit for any political gain my opponent's youth and inexperience. Talking about Bob Dole.
Yeah.
Was it Dole that ran against him in '84? I'm pretty sure it was him.
Rest in peace to both.
Yep.
They no, but like you talk about that, and I mean this seriously though. I mean, crazy to think back on some of these presidencies. Mm-hmm. I actually went to Dallas the beginning of this year, and I did a JFK tour. And I went through the whole area. Here's the crazy thing. I understand it's a main road. I get it. I get it, Dallas. But I feel like the road where JFK was shot and killed should like not be driven on. And so I got an Uber, and this first time ever I got to drive inside of a Tesla, this Tesla picks me up, and I'm like, he's not gonna do it, is he? And I just gone through the whole thing. So like the Texas, like the like Texas, not observatory, but like the, I'm forgetting the exact name, but it sounds like a library. And
Mm-hmm.
so the building where the shooter allegedly was, by the way, folks, this is not conspiracy theory. This is just my thought. Being Italian, I stood in the grassy knoll. There was a direct, perfect shot, and I don't. I mean, think what you want to think because there's arguments all over, and I'm really still to this day trying to figure out, do I one, is there two? It just feels like there's two, but the Tesla picks me up. I'm driving. I turn, and there's the building where the shooter came from, allegedly. And, well, where I think at least one of the shooters came from. And I'm looking up at it as we drive over the two X's where JFK was shot. And I'm like, do people think about this the way I'm thinking about this? Like, I'm on this road that people probably drive every day to work, and I'm literally in a car in the back seat where JFK was shot. Like, I'm
Oh
turning
boy.
and looking right where that was. And it was so, like, surreal to go through that moment. But we did the whole tour. I got to go to, like, where his shooter, where Lee Harvey Oswald, where he had slept, where, I mean, we got to see like different like things that he had like touched that day, and we got to watch the news broadcast, and I mean, it was crazy. So you think about that day, and then you think about 9/11 and days that kind of are remembered forever.
First day of COVID.
Yeah. Well, and that was
When
another
I
time.
think the one that stands out to me for that was the day that Rudy Gobert tested positive after touching the mics.
Well, yeah, and so also for me again, vividly, I was laying in bed, Syracuse. No, I was laying in bed. Yeah, this was before the ACC tournament. I was supposed to go down to Charlotte,
Mm-hmm.
like always, or Greensboro, and I'm laying in bed. I'm watching it, and I actually had an event on Monday. I was supposed to leave on Tuesday, and so I was driving to my event, and my buddy down in North Carolina, shout out Bob Holliday, great broadcaster and writer, and so Bob and I were talking, and he said, "Hey, just so you know, there's like 7 people that tested positive in Charlotte's airport, and I was supposed to be in the airport the
Mm-hmm.
next day." And then he texted me that there was another 4 people, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be like driving into this thing. Like, I don't want to be putting myself in this situation. I
Mm-hmm.
will never forget, I was interviewing Sean Smith in the West Genesee Wildcats boys lacrosse team at the Wildcat Sports Pub. We were at a long table sitting on stage, and we were doing rapid fire that I've done for years. And he turned and he looked at me, and he said, "So Dan, this COVID-19 thing, I don't know, what do you think about it? Do you think it's for real? How long do you think this is going to last?" That was the last interview that I did for like a year with anybody on location.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing that I was asked was, how, like, do you buy into it? What do you think about it? How long do you think this? Do you think it's for real?
Yeah.
And then I didn't end up going down to Greensboro. And then when I didn't end up going, and I canceled my car and I canceled my hotel, I was sad about it because I really wanted to be there. And then within like 24 hours, they canceled the tournament.
Oh yeah.
Syracuse, North Carolina was the last game, and Syracuse beat North Carolina, so we never know how far Syracuse would have gone that year.
They had a good team that year, from what I remember.
Yeah. But I
Really
mean,
good team.
thinking about 9/11, it did make me think of COVID. It made me think
Oh,
of like when the world stopped and nobody knew what was going to
mm-hmm.
happen next.
Yeah. I mean, I was writing articles for the Woodward at Marywood, and I had been doing an independent study that year for my last credit, or my last couple of credits, and I was basically writing as the sports editor for the semester, but consistently. I was writing 2-3 articles a week.
Yeah.
And one of the first articles I wrote when I got home was, I basically called it, what did I call it? The day the sports world stopped. I think I had to go the day the sports world stopped, because the day the world stood still was probably a plagiarized title. But
There's a movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, too.
Yeah, that was like, I didn't want to plagiarize any title or anything.
Well,
but
you would be unlike many media people.
That is true.
To not steal.
Correct. But yeah, on that day, so the day that Rudy Gobert tested positive and the NBA season was canceled for the rest, or postponed, I was in Reading at a PIAA state playoff game. I want to say it was Panther Valley playing somebody. I don't remember who exactly.
What a name.
It might have been, I think the school's name was literally High School of the Future. I think that was because it was the first round of the state playoff.
How ominous and eerie.
That is one of the weirdest names for a school I've ever heard. But it's out west.
High School of the Future.
Yeah. It was very, very strange team name.
I do like Panther Valley, though. It's a cool name.
Yeah. But, yeah, so we were at that game. We were the third game of a triple header, and we did not cover the first two games. So we were basically, we got there before the first game.
Yeah.
Tried to set up as best we could before that game started so that we didn't have, all that many people in the way. And we did, but we had 2 basketball games to sit around and just watch and do nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there up in the broadcast booth, and so normally, obviously, with basketball, our broadcast for Blue Ridge 13 is down on the court. For us, they had us up, so there's like a ring right above the arena at Reading. Yeah. And we were up there. It wasn't all that high, but we were in one of the, we were on one of the sides, like by the goal.
Yeah.
So we weren't like at half court or anything. And I'm sitting there. I don't remember if it was. I think Brad was there with Bob that day. Brad Hurley, Bob Capasso from Blue Ridge 13. Shout out to them. Great broadcasters. Bob, one of my mentors in the industry. But we're sitting there watching the second game of the doubleheader, and I get a notification on my phone that Rudy Gobert tests positive.
Yeah.
So I brought it up to them. I'm like, hey guys, like, this is heavy.
Yeah.
And this was right before our game started. Like, this was near the end of the second game, getting ready for us to start our game. During the broadcast, I got the notification that the NBA season was shutting down.
Yeah.
And then I think, was it the NFL that followed suit right after?
It was okay. The NBA, and then it was the NHL.
That's
and
right.
Then it was
season.
And then it was the MLB.
Yeah, because the NFL was already over. The Super Bowl had already happened.
And then it was college basketball.
So it was, I think, sometime in the first quarter. I got the notification, and it's not much for me to do something like this during a broadcast when I'm keeping stats.
Yeah.
But I was sitting next to Bob, and I saw that notification, and I blew it up on my phone, and I kind of gave him this look.
Yeah.
And this was during a stoppage in play, but I gave him this look, and he looks at me kind of like with a "what's wrong" look, and then I show him my phone, and they basically announced to the world exactly what we had just seen, and that's a moment I'll never forget, because that day there was no more sports. Panther Valley won that game.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they won that game. Had an unbelievable run that year, and that was it. There was no other. The rest of the season got canceled. Nobody ever made it to Hershey for the state championship, and that was that.
I still remember, of all the teams, because we talk about where would Syracuse have been that year, of all the teams in college basketball for men's Division I, that moment when sports stopped affected, I think, arguably the most and the most egregious party foul were the Dayton Flyers.
Oh my God.
Because Dayton
They were number 1 seed that year, weren't they?
Were going to be
Or
they were going to be the number 1 overall seed. And to me, for Dayton, when have I, in 37 years of being alive, ever seen Dayton as a number 1 seed? I haven't.
Never.
And there's a chance,
like a 6 or a 7 seed.
And there's a chance it could never happen again. So the Kentuckys, the Kansases, the Syracuse, the North Carolinas, they'll figure it out in most cases. So I thought about the teams that really had to sit there and go, this might never happen again. And that was Dayton for me.
Absolutely.
There's other people who were mentioned. I'm like, no.
Dayton
Dayton sometimes doesn't make the tournament. They're typically an 8-9 seed. And to get in, or in a 5-12, for them to get to that point and to not get to play. I mean, I understand there's bigger things going on. But that, to me, I will always remember, like, the team that could have won it all, and how Dayton has to feel that, like something was stolen from them. And I feel like a lot of people feel that way when it comes to COVID. I just asked the question in my head, and I guess I should ask it out loud today. It's called COVID-19. And what? Because it came in 2019, whatever. But here's my thing. COVID 1 through 18, we killed them. So why couldn't we kill this one? I thought we were 18-0. I mean, we.
Oh God.
We were the Yankees, the Patriots. We had won every championship. How did we lose that one?
All I will say about that is it was the whole thing could have easily been prevented.
Oh yeah. Well, the same thing.
That's all I'm gonna say.
It's the same thing with AIDS.
100%.
AIDS started with one moment that led to another moment, and then it's and now it's here forever. So, well, hopefully not forever. But yeah, I mean,
please God, not forever.
There's so many things that we could do better.
Yeah, but real quick, before we move on, there's one more 9/11 story that I haven't told, which is actually, this was a little bit of a cooler one. It's kind of a my dad was him that day.
Yeah.
So my dad worked in the city for a long time. He built houses in New York City for 30 years. He was working uptown that day on a place. Obviously, when the towers got hit, they were out and they were moving around, and basically everybody was outside the building, and everybody went home for the day. So, in all the chaos, my Uncle Frank worked in the city too. In all the chaos, somehow they found each other and went to lunch after everything was over. So they went to lunch. I don't remember if it was in Manhattan or whatever, someplace uptown. And then on the way home, my dad was able to get into Bayonne, New Jersey, because we still lived in Staten Island at the time. And if you go over the Bayonne Bridge, it'll take you right into Staten Island from Bayonne, New Jersey. They had the bridge barricaded. Like, they weren't letting anyone over the bridge. Obviously, they weren't going to let anyone drive over the bridge. Yeah. Because they were afraid of anything. Like, God forbid anything else would happen that day. Like a car bomb on a bridge or whatever. So there was NYPD that was blocking the bridge on the Bayonne side. My dad, and obviously I wasn't there, so this is just how he's told the story to me. My dad goes up to them, starts to walk through. Cops tell him, "Sir, you can't go through." So he looks at the cop and says something to the effect of, "It's been a long freaking day. I'm going home. Shoot me."
Yeah.
So he starts walking over the Bayonne Bridge, and hundreds of people just follow him.
Yeah.
My mom was waiting in the car on the other side of the bridge. So that was one of the stories where my dad was him on 9/11.
Yeah,
but the bridge story I tell everybody, that's a really cool one.
Yeah, and I mean, and it, because I mean that you have it's like a movie moment, but you have those moments where somebody just says, "Hey, I know it's crazy. I know there's a ton of stuff going on, but it's that overwhelming theme of I have to get to my family." Mm-hmm. Like and so my dad to talk about this. So my dad, the main office when he worked for the Attorney General's office as the head of the Medicaid Fraud Control Unit for 13 counties, and then it became more. He was supposed to go down to the office, and the office, his boss's his boss's actual office in the building for the attorney general looks out like from his boss's office. The window that he has is right there. Like you
Right,
look out the
right in
window of
front
the
of him.
boss and he's looking at the rubble. My dad was scheduled to go there 8 days after 9/11. And I think back to that moment of what if that meeting was a week before?
Oh God.
And
Don't. But that's the thing. You can't think like that.
and
Obviously, there's
a reason.
things happen for a reason.
And so he did go. So 8 days after 9/11, they did have the meeting. My dad went, and he, like he said, I mean, you could look right out there, and you're just looking at the rubble. I mean, they're sifting through trying to find people, and the office is right where that is. So I mean, I just remember my dad going down and it being like really kind of just quiet. And I'm just like, when are you getting home? And then I remember going down, and they had nets over buildings because they were afraid some buildings were going to fall. So they started to put nets around some of the buildings. And then we went down to ground zero, and my mom and my dad and I, across the street, there's a church, and the church is like stucco kind of like and white inside outside. And all around the church's fence, they had, people memorializing people, and there was a guy that was kneeling in front of somebody's poster, and he had a heart attack. And so we're standing there, and this guy was kneeling, and he kind of falls over, and then an ambulance came. It was like such an eerie thing going on. And I just remember looking at ground zero, and you just see these workers, and it's like they were digging to the center of the earth, because it was just like all silver. They had like made it into a bowl, and you're just looking down into it.
My Uncle Lou was there. He was on the pile.
Oh yeah.
Yep. He was pulling out bodies and body parts, and that really messed him up. He had severe PTSD from that experience.
Well, because
I mean, and he was in the army.
It's like, well, then that's what I was gonna say. It's like being in a war zone.
Yeah.
Where else would you be pulling out body parts from a pile of rubble? I mean, it's that would be like being on a battlefield and having a missile come in and reacting to it. And so to see all of this, and thank you to your family for everything that they've done. On the firefighter side, so in school at Christian Brothers Academy, here I am going to school, like I said, turn around, look down the hallway, nobody there. Allison Berry, because people were saying, do you know somebody? Did you know somebody? Do you know somebody? Do you have somebody down there? Allison Berry's uncle, God bless her. I hope she's doing well. God bless you, Allison, and your family and your loved ones. Her uncle is a firefighter down there. They're trying to get a hold of him. He's one of the firefighters that passed, trying to save lives. And so when somebody's like, did you know someone that was there? That, in our class, Allison, it was her uncle, and that was hard for her, obviously. And I do remember the pictures too of just people walking, just like having white, like just soot, like just all over their face. And it also, this is the crazy thing too, 9/11 changed the way, I know this might be nothing to people, but it's just an interesting thing. It changed the way that movies are made, because whenever in a movie a building would collapse, it would collapse out.
Correct.
And now we learned that a building actually implodes within and pushes out.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. Well,
So
like it comes down and then.
Yes. So it was. So the way my dad explained it to me, because he was also an engineer, so he was in college when those buildings were being built. So they actually studied the World Trade Center as it was being built.
Yeah.
So the way he explains it is that the building was designed to fall that way.
Yeah.
When when Al Qaeda came in, and like when those guys, hit the building, they expected it to go over, which would have probably doubled the death toll. But because of the way those buildings were designed, once one steel column failed, it just collapsed in on itself and came straight down.
Yeah.
So that's just the way the buildings were designed. And, thank God they designed them that way. Otherwise, we could be talking about 6, 8, maybe even 10,000 people that would have died that day.
They were hoping that it would have been a domino effect.
Yeah.
And that it would be like dun 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 dun. But and even to hear the sound of like you said, the steel pieces fall, it was like, it's like boom, 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 boom. And to see the way that happened, and again, surreal. Then they talk about we're going to build something else. When they didn't have anything built and they shot the lasers in the air, I was covering games at MetLife, and I got to drive from Jersey to MetLife and just look at, and I was mesmerized. I was always praying to God. I'm like, please help me to not get in an accident, because I couldn't help but not look. And then when they put up Freedom Tower, the interesting thing about next month for me is that, again, for Superpowered Pop, by the grace of God, we're covering New York Comic Con. And New York Comic Con's right there. So the, being around it and seeing it, I still remember coming out of the train station and looking up at Freedom Tower and being like, this is like Jack and the Beanstalk. I feel like Jesus can just from heaven just touch the top of it. I mean, it's huge. It's beautiful. But you can come out and actually you're right there because it's at the Javits Center. And so there's so many stories and so many like we're talking about this morning, things that connect you back. But really the centerpiece of all of this is people passed away that day that shouldn't have. And a moment in history brought us together, which is the beautiful part of it. But then we look 22 years later and we're separated again. We're separated by politics again. We're separated by what people believe in again. We're separated by the media again. And so, I think if we're going to learn anything about we will never forget, I call BS on that, because some of us didn't forget, but other people did.
Absolutely.
22 years later, we have an obligation on 9/11 to make sure that those people did not die in vain, and we need to start working together.
Absolutely. 100%.
So we will take a step aside for a fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we thank you for allowing us to share with you, as always, where sports meets life. When we come back, Murph and I will describe what it's like, talk about being together, about what it's like to be in the same place, wheeling and dealing. Your boy went crazy. We'll be back right after this on Wake Up Call.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. GG Cards and Breaks open 7 days a week for the hobby that you love, or maybe the hobby that you're just getting into for the first time. Go there for Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. GG Cards and Breaks with singles, packs, as well as boxes. And the only place that I know that has every single NFL, MLB, and NBA team that you can sift through those boxes, find your favorites, and get some really cool and unique cards. GG Cards and Breaks brings it all together in a hobby that we love with memories that we get to create. And our same hobby, New Memories, comes to you every single month exclusively between Wake Up Call and GG Cards and Breaks. Such a huge part of my weekly life and so many wonderful people working within there that you can't help but find the next amazing piece to your collection. Head to GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave, 7 days a week. And remember, every single month, they're trade night. So with that being said, back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Murph and I did a thing. On Saturday, we had trade night.
Oh, I had trade night. This guy was covering Syracuse. Well, not your fault.
Defend me.
Not your fault.
Defend my
But
honor.
the first half took, what, 2.5 hours?
The first half of this game started at 3:30, ended past 5:04, because that's when I looked at the clock. The first quarter was like it felt like it was an hour and 20 minutes. First quarter was so long.
And they say baseball's too slow.
God bless these officials. God bless these officials. I know it's not an easy job, and I've talked to officials and coordinators of officiating. I just said to myself, I'm covering this game. I keep my word, so I agreed to cover the game. I agreed to go to trade night. I got to keep both of my words. Murph's coming in town. He's never been in here before. We get to spend this time together. I don't want to miss a second of it. I agreed to do this. This is part of my job. I can't miss a second of it. So I'm trying to merge the two together, and all I needed the officials to do was to not throw 762 penalty flags. They threw 765. And at one point, I said to myself, all right, I know I'm going to be late, but maybe I'm going to be like an hour late, maybe an hour and 15. The trade night went from 6:30 to 9:30. I got there at 8:19 p.m., and I was happy that there was an hour.
Slow clap on the way in there.
Yeah, everyone, there he is, and that's what Floyd used to say to me all the time. Shout out Floyd, though. So, but yeah. I wanted to get there. I felt bad because here Brendan is my guest and he's going into GG without me and I had no control over it. And I don't like those situations, and I understand we go through this stuff all the time, but situations where you see something coming but you have I couldn't stop the game.
Nothing you could do about it.
Right. And I don't want God to think, and I know you know this, God. I appreciate the game. I appreciate covering the game. I appreciate the opportunity. I just really wanted to be to get done. I wanted to be in both places, obviously, and I wanted to celebrate trade night. Well, when I finally got there in the future year 2037, I was we were able to
I think you sold yourself short. Maybe 2040.
I know. I was trying to be nice to the officials. But when I got there, I still got to do some stuff, and I still got to wheel and deal, and I got to sell some things, and I was really proud of that. So we had a good time. I also realized this one.
Great time.
Yeah, that's very true. And so this is what I realized when I came through the door, too, and I sat down next to Murph. And I was at Lucky Table 13, by the way, wearing 13, and Cavino's on the back of my jersey for my grandpa, and because that's his lucky number, and it's a Jaguars jersey. And I may have worn this number if I ever got to actually play for the Jaguars at quarterback. I would either be 13 or 21. So Murph and I have talked about sports cards on this show for a while. And we do breaks, and obviously everything brought to you by GG Cards and Breaks. We're living in the sports card world that we live in daily. And I knew that Murph had been doing some things. I wasn't surprised. I guess I was and I wasn't. When I got to the table, I was like, oh, I know Murph's going to have a lot because Murph's a professional. He'll have it go. I didn't know that Murph would be the only... If your orders at PSA and SGC are backed up, it's because Murph had 330 cards graded. His lot is insane of graded cards.
And there's more where that came from. There's like 70 cards in here, and there's more on the side that I have here. But a lot of the stuff that's in here, I've showed on the show already.
And when you put them in the case, obviously they take up space and whatnot. So Murph had like a plethora of things.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say this, as much as I wanted to be there and get there early and be there the whole time, I feel blessed to be able to be at the game and to be at trade night. And that last hour of trade night turned into 3 hours. And of course, as always, with the hospitality of Josh and Anthony at GG Cards and Breaks, we spent a lot of time with them. And what do you do after a trade night? You air a video called Trade Night After Dark.
Yeah.
And you box break Topps Chrome Sapphire Edition. So we had a good time.
Sadly, they didn't pull anything great, but, the Gunner was a pretty good.
That was probably my favorite. That's the first one I think
pull.
of. Yeah.
I was first pack, too. Very first pack.
Yeah.
But, so I do want to make sure that I obviously Dan knows I'm messing with him a little bit, but, full disclosure, we knew that the game was going to be happening, and he's got a job to do. That's his first job. So, you handled that about as well as you possibly could. You did not wait. You did not leave before interviews. You still you stayed for the entire game. Got your post game interviews. Got all your stuff that you needed. Yeah. And then you came to trade night. Yeah. I don't think anybody minds because they basically knew how long that game took. Yeah. And that wasn't your fault. No. The game took over 4 hours. Yeah. There's nothing you could do about that.
Wasn't the longest game since COVID. There was a game during the COVID year where just the media, staff, and players were in the building. There was a game that took 5 hours.
Oh God!
I got there at noon. I left at 5:30 or 5:20 something, 23.
With interviews and everything.
Yeah, it was over 5 hours, and then so this game was close. I had a feeling that I was like, okay, I got to be somewhere. So then you're always thinking like, okay, like I have time, but that time, like when the time starts to tick away and you get closer, but when
it always happens,
when these officials started officiating this game and threw flags down and then talked about it for 13 minutes, I was like,
it was 49-7, folks. Come on. It's like the Dallas Giants game last night. Literally, the only thing we need to talk about that game was it took too darn long.
It rained a lot.
That too. Yeah. The Giants looked terrible.
Yeah, let's hope that... Well, here's a thought. For two teams that represent New York, no matter what happens tonight, barring a tie... Watch, there almost be a tie tonight. But barring a tie...
No ties, please.
Some team representing New York, although two of them play in New Jersey, but some team representing the state of New York is going to win a game in week 1 of the NFL.
Absolutely they are. And it's going to be these guys.
And that's the question and I'm going to put up the poll today and have you vote on it on X, @CallDT, the former Twitter. Who do you think is going to win, Jets or Bills tonight?
Let's go Jets, baby.
Celebrating, honoring all of those that have passed on and all of their families, and obviously talking about that before the break. So, with a little bit before we have our 10:30 conversation with the Presidential Perspective, airing every first and third Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time of each month in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Alfred University and the Saxons. Their president, Mark Zupan, will join me today to speak on the College of Business, their insane high number of job placement and grad school placement within 6 months of graduation, as well as their small class sizes and the many, many majors that they offer that had me thinking, do I want to get a master's? A lot of good stuff coming up with Alfred University at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, so don't miss that separate video with Mark Zupan. But going NFL, going MLB, at the show, at the two shows, because what we did, so trade night on Saturday at GG Cards and Breaks on Delmar Place in Syracuse. After that, yesterday, Murph and I thought, why not take a day where he drove all day and I worked all day, and then put those together, merge them, do trade night, eat dinner at midnight, then Murph goes to bed 2-ish. I go to bed at 4:45 a.m. Let's get up at 6:45. Let's do it all again.
I was up at 6:15, by the way, because
I
I was
had
under
no
the
idea.
assumption that we were leaving at 6:45.
And I was under the assumption of I needed 2 hours of
Yes.
sleep.
Hey, I only got 3.5 hours of sleep.
I was like, I gotta get 2. I can't get 1.
I only got 3.5 hours of sleep. Now, this is just a shameless plug. I have no affiliation with Whoop, but if you've never done a sleep study on yourself,
Yeah.
which I hadn't until I got a Whoop, it's actually a really cool thing because you can actually figure out, you know, how much sleep you reasonably need
Yeah.
in order to have your best performance.
I told Murph
Right?
I need
My recovery was 21% yesterday. So that wasn't good. I have no idea. I haven't checked what it is today, but we at least had a reasonable amount of
we slept.
yeah. We had a reasonable amount of sleep. I'm wondering what it was tonight. Let's see. I will finish my journal later.
What'd you get?
46%.
There you go.
But I did get 7.5 hours of sleep. I probably needed more.
I'm
I probably
fighting.
needed more to recover.
I'm fighting myself the whole time that we were just talking about that, from pointing to your watch and saying, "Whoop, there it is."
Oh my god.
I have.
Well, here's the thing. It's used by a lot of golfers.
Yeah.
You know, and I've, you know, for me as somebody who plays a lot of golf and teaches golf, I have seen the benefits of it right away because it tells you, you know, your heart rate variability and, you know, it talks about how you sleep. And for me, sleep is an issue.
Yeah.
So you know,
Word.
I've actually gotten to use this, and it's been very beneficial for me.
What is sleep? So
I don't think this guy knows what sleep is anymore.
no. And
3 hours of sleep basically every day, if not less. You're crazy, man.
so I averaged midnight to 2. I pulled it back after all these years and got myself to get in bed before midnight and go to bed around midnight 1. And then the last 2 weeks, it's been 1, 2, and 3. In the last two-ish weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. And then in the last week, it's been like 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I love sleep. I mean, it's not one of those like I'm an
doesn't?
insomniac. I love sleep. Sleep and listen, I have dated a lot of crazy women and they have slept in that bed next to me. I think that my relationship needs to just be with the actual bed. Just like I walk, like if you saw me walk into my bedroom after a long day, I just walk up the stairs and I stand in the doorway and I go, "Look at you. You. I've missed you. I need you. I'm sorry that I wasn't here that much yesterday." And I just lay into that bed. I mean, my bed is going to be so comfortable today, and I will enjoy it. So, but we had a great weekend, is what I'm saying.
Outstanding weekend.
College football, NFL, MLB all leads into this conversation of sports card collecting because we were collecting college stars becoming pro stars in the NFL and college stars becoming pro stars in MLB. And so we got some really cool finds. So let's start with trade night and what you did at trade night, and then I'll talk about.
I gotta find what I actually got at trade night.
I did a couple things at trade night. I didn't do a lot because officiating.
Some of the trade night stuff that I got,
the officiating crew didn't allow
didn't
me.
make it home.
Yeah, that's true. Well, while you're looking for it, I will show people I did 2 things at trade night. I actually sold stuff too, though. I sold stuff to, shout out Josh, one of the leaders there at GG Cards and Breaks, one of the owners. I sold to Josh at GG Cards and Breaks, and I also sold one of my Christian McCaffrey rated rookie Chrome. I sold that to a young man who was my first sale of the weekend and started things off for me. So I want to thank him for that. And I traded as well. So I traded for this Trevor Lawrence PSA near mint 8. Probably should have gotten higher. But a PSA near mint.
Oh wait, that was trade night?
Yeah, this is trade night.
Oh, I thought you had that before.
And then I also traded for this. I traded for my first ever Trevor Lawrence patch card. It's a tricolor patch with that line in the middle, and it is numbered 250. It is 45 out of 50, and it's called Choice Materials. So I got 2 Trevors on trade night, and I made money. I did not lose any money on trade night.
Well, a lot of the stuff that I got at trade night didn't make it here.
Yeah.
It was either sold yesterday or traded yesterday.
Yeah.
But the 3 things...
Oh, good.
Wait, no, this was not from trade night. This one was not from trade night. I only have 2 cards that I got at trade night
Okay.
that I still have in my possession. So one of them, and it was one of the only... Now, I'm going to preface everything I'm going to say today with this.
Yeah.
You all know that I strictly collect baseball. That changed on Wednesday. I bought my first big Patrick Mahomes rookie card, and I was hooked on football. I was going to start doing football.
Yeah, he called me and said, I think I'm into football now. And I had, my lot to put up in these shows is predominantly football. Murph's predominantly baseball. And then he said,
I'm still predominantly baseball.
Yeah. And he was like, I think I'm getting into football. And so I'm like a happy older brother. Like, good. I'm excited. Get into football. Let's do it. Because I can talk. I've been collecting for my whole life for football. But yeah, so he gets into football, and then it was like an acid trip on football over the weekend.
Oh yeah. We'll get into the the show stuff later, but the 2 things I got at trade night, one was baseball, one was this 2016 rookie Trey Turner auto. Me being down in Pennsylvania, Philly fans love Trey Turner. Well, now they do. But that was a cool card that we picked up at trade night. And then this was a cheapie, but this is Saquon. It's just a Saquon Donruss rated rookie, PSA 10. Real cool card. Not an expensive card, but still a cool card.
Quando.
That's basically what I did at trade night.
And
all the other stuff I got at trade night is gone.
Yeah, so so we did a few things, and I was excited. I mean, I got stuff I wanted at trade night. I made money at trade night, so that was all good. And then, after 2 hours of sleep and 3.5 hours of sleep, we set out to the New York State Fairgrounds for Collectors Fest '88. I've been to Collectors Fest before, but I've never been there as a vendor. We got there, and I want to let people know, despite the lack of sleep and leaving a little bit later because I knew that we could, we were able to get food, come in, set up, and be ready to go. And we sold pretty much throughout the whole day, buy, sell, trade. And I had 3 Josh Allens in my possession that I bought at the show. My goal was to have none of them come home with me. Not because I don't like Josh Allen, but because I felt like the value could be better there than anywhere else in the next few weeks. So Josh came in, Josh went out. That was a win for me. I at one point was down, and then Murph called me and said, hey, because we took turns taking walks. He said, hey, where are you at? And I came over, and as I was coming over, he's like, this guy wants to take 2 of these Josh Allens off your hands. That got me to within $5. So instead of being back 100 of the 2 days, I was only down $5. And then late last night,
no, we could save that.
We're gonna save.
We could save that.
I was gonna say I'm not going there.
That for the end. Okay.
I'm not going there. But late last night, we didn't stop. So we technically were buying, selling, and trading from yesterday alone for
8 to 8.
Yeah,
8 to 9.
Over 12 hours.
Yeah,
more than half a day.
Mm-hmm. So
you want to get
I'll run through the stuff that I got there. I did not buy 1 baseball card yesterday. Yeah. I traded for a couple, but I did not buy 1 baseball card at all. To your point, I did buy some Josh Allen stuff.
Yeah.
I bought a couple of Josh Allen rookies and a couple of Josh Allen autos. Made money on all of them. All of them are gone. Never made them home.
Yeah.
But I've got.
Yeah, you got a bunch of stuff that you got.
Oh yeah, picked up a bunch of football. Picked up a little bit of everything. But, yeah, so we got a little bit of everything. So I'll start with something a little smaller here. This I got in a trade deal with somebody. This is just an Ellie De La Cruz card, but it's from the National Sports Card Conventions that was in Chicago. It's a cool card, and it could grade a 10 easily, so I think I like that one. That was the reason I like that. Surprised he didn't want this, but a little Trevor Lawrence rookie. Just base rookie, silver prism. Just prism. I'm still off on the football, on like all the football lingo for what kind of cards they are.
No, there's so many different things now.
Yeah, absolutely.
They take time.
I don't know anything with that stuff. Last baseball card I got was, and this was in a trade. I traded out of one of my Mickey Mantle cards. No problem with that. I had, it's a card I liked, but I didn't necessarily need to keep. I also got, so it's a Dwight Gooden top certified auto. Just a cheap auto, but it's Doc Gooden. Mets fans love him. And that same deal with that Mickey Mantle card, I picked up this 1961 insert Roger Maris. And that's in the PSA 6, so that's a really cool looking card. In very nice shape as well.
Yeah, you're getting those, the Roger Maris and the.
I think I made out in that deal.
Yeah, you did.
Because he wanted to get the cash price down. Because I had the card, my lowest that I was going on it was $350, and he wanted to get the cash number down to around $3. So we got to talking. I took on those two cards and took $300 cash. I think I'm gonna make out okay. I think I'm gonna make out closer to $370 or $380 with those two cards. But another dealer that I'm actually friends with from my area happened to be at the show. He wasn't dealing that day. Obviously, he was just walking around the show floor, and I knew he was going to be up there. So I told him we're to be there. Stop by the table and come see what's up. Sold me 2 Kenny Pickett RPAs. So this is the one that I still have. I sold the other one. But this one, Crown Royal number 299. This is the more expensive of the two. He and I have done many deals in the past. So I was happy to make a deal with him and send him some stuff. I think you got a couple cards that you want to show off here too. So I'll let you show off a few before I keep going.
So what I didn't realize until just now is that I didn't come home. Well, this is a good thing. I only came home with 3 cards of all the wheeling and dealing yesterday, and they're 3 cards I've never seen before. So this is a rookie card. You can kind of see it kind of looks like electricity coming off of Trevor Lawrence. So this is an elite. It's Panini Donruss. It's called the Elite Series Rookies. So I got one of these for Trev, and then I got these really, really cool cards here. We got one. It's not a zebra stripe, but it's got all these wavy lines within it.
It's like a wave refractor. I think.
It's wave refractor, and the waves will go like in different areas. You can see some stars on this as well. It's a rookie card, and it's a purple parallel. And it was the only purple parallel that I saw that this one person had at their booth. So this is my Trevor Lawrence rookie here with Clemson Prism. And then I also have another Panini Prism Cracked Ice. This is a yellow one. The orange one I liked more, but the yellow one was in really good shape to potentially get graded. And so I just keep thinking to myself, what if there was a little bit of cursive across this, if these had some autos on them. But here's Trev. Let me show you that one. So this is the one that I was showing here, the newer one. Mm-hmm. And, they're both new, but to show a little bit more of that. So they're both Trevor Lawrence rookie cards, Panini Prisms, Clemson. Just awesome looking cards. They look like cards that would be numbered. They are not.
I was surprised they were non-numbered.
Yeah, I was checking them all because he had a few of them. But I got these 2 Trevors, and the other Trevor, I think he wanted to give me 2. I fought for 3, and I got 3. So those came home with me. And I also got, and we're going to air the box break as well. I got a box. That was something I did come home with. I came home with a box of Panini Prestige 2021 football, and we will be airing that.
Absolutely. So, getting into a little bit more, I made a deal for a really cool card. And I'm going to show that card first because I'm going to show you before I get into the deal. So that Ellie De La Cruz National card was also part of this deal. I had a couple of cards that I wanted to move. I had that Mahomes rookie. I think I had it priced at $325. I had an Aaron Judge Bowman Chrome 2013 PSA 9. And what else did he take? And I think he took one of my Ellie De La Cruz SGC 10s. My Bowman first. He had this card, which is a Zenith rookie auto of Jalen Hurts, numbered to 25. So that is numbered to 25. Jalen Hurts rookie auto. I also got this Kyle Trask RPA. Not necessarily because it was valuable, but everyone of you knows I'm a diehard Gator.
It's valuable to you.
It's valuable to me. I PC the Florida Gators, and I've picked up quite a few Kyle Trask RPAs and rookie autos and everything. So this is a cool one to have. It's also a 3-color patch, which is pretty cool. So I wanted to make sure I showed that off. But that was that was the biggest trade deal I did of the day. That was about, I don't know, $600-ish in value between all those cards.
Yeah.
I then did a deal where I got did I sell the other Jalen? I sold the other Jalen. But I got 3 football rookies, some nice ones, in a deal where I got. Now, I'm gonna preface this. I'm gonna tell him about that dealer a little bit.
Okay.
Not to badmouth him or anything, but it was when he was going through my cards.
Yeah.
And picking out stuff he liked, he'd kind of just flick them at me.
Yeah.
Like into his pile.
I saw the last time because he came back a second time, and he had taken cards out. There's like 3 or 4 cards. He threw them on top of Murphy's showcase. He threw them on top of the case, and he goes, yeah, tell me what you want to do with these. And then he walked away. And I was like, yo, what is this guy doing?
But he picked a bunch of my stuff, and then he's telling me, I'll give you these for that. I'm like, if you want to do a trade deal, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
But I got to see what you have. I'm not just going to let you bring me random stuff that I may or may not want. Right? So I ended up making a deal. I had 3 Wander Francos that he got, a Dylan Cruz auto, a couple of mid to smaller cards. I'd gotten 2 of these. So one's a Joe Burrow, one's a Justin Herbert. It's the rookies. The Burrow is a PSA 10. The Herbert is a PSA 9. I got to find a spot here where it's not going to get reflected off the light. Right about there. So the Burrow's a 10. The Herbert's a 9. The Herbert's a cheaper card. But I also had gotten a Jalen Hurts Optic rookie. That I had sold later at the show. So I was very happy to do that deal for multiple reasons. 1, I got rid of the Wanders.
Yeah.
And 2, I think I made out pretty good on that deal. I think I'm going to end up doing a little bit better than I actually did. But speaking of Jalen Hurts,
Hurts so good.
Yeah. With me being in the Poconos, it's easy for me to see Eagles fans. So,
yeah,
a couple smaller Jalen Hurts rookies. You got the one on the one on this side here. This is just the optic rookie, and then you've got the select. What do they call this? Select certified Jalen Hurts. Both PSA 9s. Not big cards by any means, but
somebody will want
Jalen Hurts. Somebody will want him.
Somebody will want him.
Somebody will want him. And picked up a couple other cheap ones. Just a silver select Saquon rookie in a PSA 10. That should also be an easy sell down by me. Lots of people love Saquon, being that he's from Penn State. He's local to the area I do most of my shows in. He went to Whitehall High School in Allentown. So that is pretty cool. And then we got...
You got to say it right. Some people would say that this card is beautiful. I think it's Purdy.
Literally, Purdy. So Brock Purdy, that is an optic...
There you go.
There we go. Now we can see it. That's an optic rated rookie. That is in a PSA 9.
Yes.
To be honest, I did not want this card. But it was a younger kid that was looking to get one of my Jalen Hurts cards, and he wanted to try and get the price down a little bit. So I was like, all right. I was going to give him $20 in trade value for this. I ended up going to $25. He kind of guilted me into it. Little kid. But he played well yesterday. So, maybe next week this card's worth $30. Who knows? If I can make a couple bucks on it, that's fine. I'm perfectly happy with it.
He played better than the entire Giants team.
Yeah. That wasn't that hard.
No. You know what was harder than played harder than the Giants last night? The rain.
Yeah.
The rain was insane.
It was making a lot of corn, and then the corn was making the whiskey.
Yeah. And then the whiskey makes, I don't even know.
My baby feel a little frisky.
There we go. I know the song. What is it? Rain makes corn, corn makes whiskey, and whiskey
makes my baby feel a little frisky.
I like it.
Yep. Only one of these that I'm going, well.
Maybe that was the song that they played to try and get the Giants to feel better after the game.
So the only one of these that I ended up going home with that was graded was, and he didn't want it. I was shocked. He didn't want it.
I went back and forth with it a couple times.
He did.
I did.
I
got it
because I'd asked him if he wanted me to pull it out, if I wanted him to pull it out of the case.
Well, that's the thing is, it's like you got these that dance and that one dances. So I got all.
But this is also kind of a color match. So this is a pretty cool card.
It's close. It is. It's very.
But
close.
it is a green mosaic.
I do like
2021 rookie of Trevor Lawrence, and it's a card that I think is pretty cool. Not an expensive card. It's in a PSA 9. But it's a card that I think was, pretty cool, and I think Trevor's going to have a great year. He played relatively well yesterday. Not his best performance with Jacksonville, but played well enough for them to win. That's all that matters.
We won.
W's are the ones that matter.
Yes.
And then the last thing of the night, this was the last deal I did at the show, and I kid you not, I went around 2 hours at least near the end of the show.
Yeah.
Looking for deals. Couldn't find anything.
Murph was begging to spend money.
I was literally begging to spend money.
He was really trying.
And I couldn't spend money. So I ended up getting... so as I told you before, I traded away the Patrick Mahomes rookie card that I had. So I bought another one. This is just the simple Donruss rated rookie. That's in a PSA 9. The PSA 10 is like $1,000. But I figure with Mahomes, again, he's not going to go down. His market's a little down right now too. So,
I got a good name for him. If I had a fantasy team without him, I would have said chilling with Mahomies.
There you go, man. Well, mine in the Marywood League is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh, I like that.
Because I got half the Jets team.
I have Pickin' Flowers for George Pickens and Zay Flowers on my team.
Yep.
I had an inappropriate name that I did not use for one of my other teams.
Oh.
It had to do with Young Hoku.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, because his name.
You can tell me off air later.
I will. I want to do it on air. It's my show, but it's okay.
Hey, it's your show. If you want to do it on air, go for it.
I know. It's just it's a funny name, not the dirtiest name we've ever had. This I did not get there, but I broke it out in public for the first time in a long time. It's number 3 of 25. It's a green parallel. It's a tricolor patch here, and it's a rookie card. And I know that his situation is different now, but I love this card. So I have 2 thoughts. Number 1, if anybody would like to talk about this Kareem Hunt card, I would like to give it to the right home. And what I mean by that is, Brandon Smith, make me an offer $500 or higher. I'll bring it to you. Love you, B.
All right.
So
let's talk about the fun deal that we made.
Yeah, it's actually a perfect segue by using a movie title which is simply put in 3 words, about last night. So something cool happened. We did not finish after Collectors Fest 88, which was awesome. And thank you to Lynn and everybody that put that together. Big time shout out to CNY Promotions. We're going to take a step aside. When we come back, Murph and I will tell you, was this the biggest deal of the night? Right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. What's up, people? Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of where sports meets life. We're so happy to be here with you, hanging out Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. For those of you excited to hear what the president has to say of Alfred University, that will be coming up, and I'll be sharing that on all of our social media. You can get a little sneak peek and check it out on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, where we are right now. But Murph and I have a few more things to talk about. And last night, and nobody knows this but us. How crazy is this? God, Murph, myself, and Lily are the only ones that know what we're about to tell you. Not even GG Cards and Breaks knows.
Yep.
So Josh, Anthony, the crew, if you're listening and watching as you do, and I appreciate it so very much, you're about to hear something, and we're going to see you in a little bit anyway, so we can tell you the story. Murph and I were not done last night. We were talking about a few things, and it ended up turning into arguably the greatest, and we still should have got it on recording.
We were talking about that after the deal was done.
Yeah.
We were like, oh my God, that was such a missed opportunity.
Because it was so cool.
We should have just set a camera. And it would have been what, an hour and a half?
Yeah. It was in my office connected to my studio. Yeah.
Don't you be dropping those things.
Just throw it. This is the second time I dropped my favorite card that I got this.
Oh my God.
So, but yeah, I mean, this was like what it would look like to be in a sports like war room. Like to just be in, like when they're having the discussions on who they're going to draft, like this was one of the coolest.
That's what it felt like.
And the thing that was also cool too is it also reminded me, and we talked about this show, it reminded me of what it would be like filming an episode of Suits. I felt like it kind of was like that.
And we were talking about Suits last night.
Yes, and my crush on Meghan Markle.
I found a poll on YouTube, and we were talking about the most underrated character in Suits.
I still think it's arguably Donna, though, if she was in the poll.
She's not that underrated, though.
I mean,
Donna's a main
in the
character.
first two seasons. I felt like she was the one where like.
Well, you also didn't watch the entire series,
right? But in like she was building, but in the first couple seasons, I felt like the emphasis was not on her. Yet I feel like without her, she was Harvey's compass. Like she helped to keep him in a lot of ways. And Donna, between her and Meghan Markle, I was like, I would marry either one of these people. So when Meghan Markle's like, oh, I'm going overseas and I'm going to marry a Brit and we're going to do this thing. I just remember being like, people were like, who's Meghan Markle? And I'm like, ew, watch Suits. And now everybody watches Suits on Netflix and people talk about it like crazy. But I want to shout out my dad because my dad, who is a lawyer, he watched the show and he can't stand shows about law because most of the time he'll watch a show first 5 minutes and he's like, he's like, objection, that would have been overruled. He's like, it's got to be accurate. Well, he watched Suits and he got me on Suits and he went back to the beginning. We watched it together and it was like probably like our first like show that like he picked.
Yeah.
So Suits means a lot to me.
Did he think it's relatively accurate?
Yeah, he wouldn't have watched it if he didn't. He actually, like, I think it's the only, he does watch Law and Order too, but there was
Law and Order is more for the entertainment than it is for the actual lawyer stuff.
But Law and Order, like the original, that I had to stop after a certain point. I stopped watching it. I'm like, yo, I'm done with this because there was like one season where the prosecution didn't win for so many weeks, and I was like, all of these fake bad people are going out into the streets again, and I was like, I can't watch it. So I had to step away, but I come
It's
back
like why
to
I watch Blue Bloods. It's, cops that I've talked
My dad
to say
watches
it's fairly accurate.
yeah. And again, my dad being in law, he watches Blue Bloods. But there's other shows where he watched the first 5 minutes of a pilot of a show, and he said, "Daniel, turn this crap off." I'm not going to tell you what it was called because I forgot the name, but
That's how little we think of it.
but I know one of the actors that was in it is a very well-known actor, and I'm sure he tried really hard, and I wanted it to be successful for him and for the crew. It just, if you're going to do a show about a topic, you should probably know the topic. It's not fun. I mean, who do you think you're appealing to in a law show? You think you're not going to have lawyers or law enforcement at least give it a little look? It's like comic books. They're like, I had somebody tell me this years ago. They don't make comic book movies for comic book fans. They make comic book movies for the world to see. I don't disagree that they make it for the world to see. This is where my disagreement comes. They said they don't even think about the comic book fans. They don't matter to them. It's not about that little 1%. It's about the 99 who know nothing about the characters.
And that's the problem.
But this is the issue.
That's the problem with everything.
I disagree with that because without that 1%, which I think is a lot more than 1%, without the comic book readers, there never would have been comics continuing to... the comic book readers are the ones that bought the comics, and the ones that bought the comics turned into these movies and these opportunities and chances. And if the movie is inaccurate or the TV show is inaccurate, they're the first person to say it. And if you don't believe me that it's the flipped opposite of what this guy was saying, I'm not saying they don't make the movies for 100% and want people to go. What I'm saying is to say that they don't make these movies first and foremost with the comic book people in mind, I call BS, because Phase 4 of Marvel was almost completely atrocious outside of Guardians 3 coming out and Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and I don't even know, Guardians 3 might be Volume 5 at this point, or Phase 5. But when you look at Phase 4 of Marvel, they went so far away from the comics and so far away from what actually is supposed to be and threw all this propaganda and Disney garbage in there. And at the end of the day, they lost a lot of money. And so if you're telling me that people just come because they're stupid little old fans that don't know anything and they just like seeing pictures, the magic, that's BS, because these movies didn't stay true to the characters, and this has been Marvel's worst phase. So stay true to who you are, which is what we do, and Murph and I staying true to the fact that our friendship comes first, and then underneath our friendship we have this love for a lot of similar things. And last night we just sat in the office, and I'm gonna let you tell the story of how this kind of like all materialized.
Well, I'm not going to give away the card we traded for yet, but there were quite a few cards in my showcase that Dan was interested in. So, one in particular, I made sure I pulled out of the case and didn't sell because he wanted it.
Yeah.
I already made that mistake once this week, so I wasn't going to do it again.
It was this card.
Yeah, but we're going through, and I'm like, because he obviously was, you were basically at even money, that you were basically down $5. With the box, you were probably going to at least make that money back. So essentially you were broken even for the day.
And watch that video to see if I made back the $5. But
it's not hard to make back the $5.
Yeah,
you get a $5 card, it's $5.
Yeah,
but we're talking about it because obviously there was one of the cards that he liked was a big card.
No. That you got at trade.
I got at trade night the night before, and basically how it went down was we were chatting about that, and there's some cards that he had that I liked, a couple of his bigger cards that I liked. So I said, all right, I'm not going to do it if you don't want to, but since I made a decent amount of money today, why not me share the wealth a little bit, and we talk a big trade with some cash behind. So basically I told him, because obviously they were cards that he liked. So and then he ended up going through the case a little bit more. Or going through my case a little bit more. So essentially what I told him was, I'm not worried, because we had already, we spent, it wasn't that long to figure out the actual monetary value of where we had the cards at.
Yeah.
Because the prices that you see on those cards is not the prices that I gave him. The prices that I gave him were lower.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah,
Because I priced out the card that we're talking about here to what I
what you
feel
felt you wanted.
I felt and it was close to what I would take.
Yeah, exactly. So he ended up giving me a decent discount on the card considering I gave him a pretty sizable discount on some of my stuff as well. And also because it helps that he knows that it's going to a good place and a good home.
Yeah.
But do we think we should show him the card that was in the centerpiece of the deal?
Yes.
Okay, so Dan is no longer down money. He is up a decent chunk of change from the weekend because I now have in my possession that will be taken home the Lamar Jackson RPA number to 75.
Yeah, that's my Lamar.
And
it's sat over my left shoulder.
So here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
Anyone that knows me knows I hate Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
However, I don't think this would be that hard for me to move. And the reason I kind of was interested in it too was, like I said, make it a little bit more even in terms of what the money was at this weekend.
I got to take a picture where Lamar was because he literally in the studio here on Wake Up Call sits right off my shoulder by my hope makes the impossible possible. And I have been a Lamar fan for a very, very long time. And I interviewed him, covered him in college, spoke with his coach at the time, Bobby Petrino, about him. And I was one of the few people that I know of that said that he would be a good quarterback in the NFL. So Lamar, this came to a card of someone who appreciates you, and it's going to a person who I appreciate, who may not be a fan of you, but definitely is a fan of the card. And that's the thing, whether people like Lamar or not, people would look at this card and go, gosh, that's a really awesome, a beautiful card.
That's ultimately why I decided it was...
Let's take it, Murph.
That's ultimately why I decided it was... Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Why I decided it was a good purchase for me. And like we had talked about, I was trying to spend money. It was so difficult for me to spend money.
Yeah. Don't walk around, Murph. Just come to me.
I know. And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
So once we got down to it, he had almost the same value in cards picked out.
Yeah, it was within $90.
Yeah. But basically what I told him was, don't feel like you have to pick more cards.
Yeah.
I am perfectly okay giving you more cash for this card. So I know obviously you slept on those two cards. We'll talk later if you still want them.
Yes.
But I told him flat out.
Be continued.
Yes. And that conversation will probably happen over at GG Cards and Breaks later on today.
Or maybe at Pizza Man.
Or Pizza Man.
By the way, last night we celebrated an awesome Collectors Fest 88 by going to the Wildcat Sports Pub. It was Murph's first time ever, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. I'll be putting up pictures of it. Honey barbecue, boneless. He got some barbecue bone in. Got the Kama fries. Got to try some of my favorite fries in the world.
2 orders of those, by the way. For the record.
Yeah, and pizza.
I am by no means, overweight, but I felt like a fat boy yesterday because of how much food I ate.
Murph had
I also hadn't eaten yet.
No, well, you hadn't technically eaten in 2 days.
So when you went to pick up Lily from your parents, and we brought her back, and then we eventually went over to Wildcat finally.
Yeah.
That trip felt like it took an eternity because of how hungry I was.
Yeah.
I was so hungry. All I had was a donut.
Yeah.
I had a donut and a little bit of caffeine earlier. That was it.
I had a croissant.
I was so hungry.
It was good. Yeah, so we got
but
there.
I devoured some wings at Wildcat. The wings with Wildcat were very, very good.
She had 2 orders of fries, wings, and a small pizza.
Correct.
I had my chicken Caesar wrap, which is my go-to. I had honey barbecue boneless wings, which I love. And I came home and barely ate them because this is going to be a party for me today and probably tomorrow, is that I brought home the fried dough from the Wildcat. And I got to tell you something. I woke up this morning with as much as the awesome food that we had, I have such like I'm so hungry today.
I am too.
So I'm really
Well, it's
excited.
because we really only had one meal yesterday.
Right. No.
That's why we're gonna go over to Pizza Man and go get some pizzas.
I'm bringing Murph around the clock. We're going all over the place. We went to the Wildcat
but
Sports
he told
Club.
me I shouldn't get pizza yesterday because we're gonna have pizza
pizza
tomorrow.
tonight, yeah.
But I kind of said,
But it's good.
I don't
in both.
really want any. I don't want like a burger or anything. Like I
Yeah.
want something that's
Listen.
good, but not gonna like overwhelm me.
Working with
Too much
Avicoli's, the Wildcat Sports Pub, and Pizza Man Pub, I am outrageously spoiled. And I will never intend to give that back. And each of their pizza is different, and all of it is good, and I have different go-tos at different spots. So I can literally do a pizza tour, and you're not going to have the same pizza.
I think the pizza at Wildcat was good.
It is good.
It was very good.
And what you're going to have today, if you're willing to step a little bit outside the box, don't worry, it's not pineapple.
Believe me,
it's not going to be pineapple.
And I think you started to realize from me coming up here, I'm a notoriously picky eater. Everybody that knows me knows how picky of an eater I am.
I'm about to go ham on some food over here, so.
Don't you be putting ham on? Well, ham's
sweet heat, baby.
Ham's not that bad on pizza.
Sweet heat.
Pineapple on pizza is a cardinal sin.
It's so good.
Before we run out of time here, why don't you show off what card you got in the Lamar deal, in addition to a pretty sizable amount of cash.
Not one. Not two. Not three. But four. This one I'm going to wait to show you because it's my favorite. Corbin Carroll, as you all know, I've been a Diamondback fan since the beginning. Why? Because I felt like it. I don't need to give you a reason, but I've been a Diamondback fan since the beginning of the beginning because I wanted my own team. And back in 1997, when they said, we're going to become a baseball team, I said, game time. And here's the thing. They have a D, that wonderful logo with the D. So then people are like, oh, is that for Dan? Sure. Diamondbacks Dan, it works together. Pat Corbin from CNS, Central New York, went and played there for a couple years, interviewed him a couple times on the show. His cards are off camera right here with me in the studio. Shout out to you, Pat. Love and miss you, and I hope you're doing well. So, because I love the Diamondbacks, Murph had this card, and this is a Diamondback rookie card chrome of Mr. Corbin Carroll, and it is a 10 SGC out of 10.
One of the cards I sent in this most recent SGC order.
Then,
Definitely not an expensive card by any means, but a cool card.
The next one is the first Bowman of Corbin Carroll, the first time he appeared in Bowman, 10 out of 10. And if you look really closely there, folks, those shoes are just fantastic. He's got bluish teal looking shoes, which bond him to my Jaguars. My teams all find a way to each other. People say, you like such an one of the guys that came to the show yesterday goes, I remember that you have such like a random like splattering of teams that you like. However, God works in fun ways. My teams always find a way to connect to each other, just like being in Jacksonville for a game and then going to St. Augustine and finding the Toronto Raptors jersey that I've been searching for almost my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, well, realistically, the Diamondbacks were teal when they first became a team.
I like the original colors, but I'm good with
I'm
good with,
and were the Jags as well.
Yeah, teal, baby. Then I got my first ever Bryce Harper, right here. Washington Nationals rookie card came through Syracuse. This is a 10 out of 10 Gem Mint PSA rookie card of Bryce Harper. I low-key have wanted a Bryce Harper rookie for a long time. I didn't tell nobody except for Murph, and now I have a 10 out of 10.
Yep.
And so
that one was just a coincidence that he had pulled because he went through the box.
I didn't even know you had it.
He didn't realize I had it.
I didn't.
So when he went through, he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." But he pulled a couple of things out. You know, he didn't necessarily take everything, but we had. Yeah. I think there was a list of maybe 9 or 10 cards that we'd basically put numbers on. Both agreed on a price for them. so that once it came down to picking which ones you wanted, we already had the prices sorted out.
And Murph, being the person that he is and being a man of his word, he didn't say, well, it's this price if you buy 5, or it's this price if you do this, or this if you do that, or this if you mix and match.
I would have done it at the show if I was dealing with somebody random, but obviously with him, that's not the case.
He was like, here's the prices, this is what we got, let's do it.
A lot of the stuff that I gave him, I basically gave him for what I was into it for. Or less in some cases.
And all of these cards that I got in this deal for the Lamar Jackson are 10 out of 10s. So what could the last one possibly be? Well, it is also a 10 gem mint PSA. He traded for it at trade night, and I went,
I want that.
I want that card.
We had agreed before the show, because he wasn't 100% sure if he was going to want it. So I said, all right, I'm going to put it in the case.
It's not cheap. So.
It's not cheap. It's not a cheap card.
No.
I said I would put it in the case. If you want me to pull it out, you let me know. Because I will just pull it out of the case, put it in my box, and then I won't sell it.
And early on
exactly
in the show,
I had to ask you, though.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it. And so I'm setting all my stuff up and getting some of my prices. And Murph looked at me. I don't know if it was like 8:30
no,
or
9:30. It was around noonish, I think.
Oh yeah, and
that day flew by. I don't really remember stuff that happened yesterday.
He looked at me and he goes, "Hey, do you still want that card? Are you thinking about it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And you're like, "Do you want me to pull it out of the case?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
So that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, keep it.
And that Trevor Lawrence that you saw, that I also pulled out of the case.
Being a man of his word.
Correct.
So.
This is a cool card.
This is the card I wanted more than anything. This is the card that started the trade. It is a Gem Mint PSA 10 out of 10. Corbin Carroll, rookie. Well, I'd say even before that, prospect.
So it's Topps Pro Debut. So the Pro Debut series, I think that series is actually coming out for 2023 pretty soon. But Topps Pro Debut essentially is cards from players on their minor league teams. And that's exactly what this is. He's with the
Hillsboro Hops.
Yes, in the minor leagues for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
So this
really cool card.
Yeah, so this prospect card autographed by Corbin Carroll, looking like a little baby in this.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is, folks, but sometimes, and those of you in the sports card hobby and those of you just getting into it, you'll get to know what I mean. You look at a card and something inside you goes, I have to have it. That's got to be mine. So I saw it. He traded for it and he put it down and I was like, what is that? And I looked at it and I was like, oh, I want that card. And then I told Murph multiple times, I want that card. And then I forgot about it. Not forgot about it. It was in my mind, but I'm doing my stuff.
Well,
We're doing the show.
You were also talking to some people. You were talking to a lot of people there in the morning.
And you're like, do you want it? And I was like, yeah, absolutely.
I had a break in the action. I didn't really have a lot of people that were looking at that card, believe it or not.
So Corbin Carroll.
But he's going to be the rookie of the year. So even if you decide to sell it, you're going to make money on it.
Oh no, this is staying. He's a Diamondback. This is one of the cards. I can honestly say this since collecting cards for almost 30 years of my 37 years on this planet. This is one of the cards that I believe could arguably, in the Nolan Ryan and the Goose Gossage Ball and the this could be one of those cards that like 15 years later I'm going, hey, I remember when I got that card. Like this is one of my babies. So
it's that Bryce Harper too.
Corbin Carroll.
I've had that Bryce Harper over 10 years.
Well, that's the thing. So like parting ways, and I said
that one's sad to part ways with.
Well, and
it is.
Going off of that, the first card that I sold yesterday at Collectors Fest '88 at the fairgrounds in Syracuse. Shout out to CNY Promotions again. The first card that I sold was my RPA numbered James Conner rookie. Now, James Conner I covered at Pitt. I spoke with his coach, Pat Narduzzi, about him. James Conner, I've wanted to be successful in the NFL. I want him to stick around as long as possible. I want him to get over a decade at least. He's a Pittsburgh Steeler, became an Arizona Cardinal. Parting with that card yesterday, kid came up to me. He wanted the card, and I had it for $20. And he said, can you do any better? And I took a couple bucks off, which I was totally fine with. When I took that card out of the case and I handed it to him, I looked at Murph and I was like, that was a hard one. Like, that was hard to say. I mean, listen.
Was that your hardest one of the day?
It hit my stomach. Yeah.
I'm sure this one probably wasn't easy for you either.
Yeah, Lamar.
But at least
Lamar's going to you. So
yeah. So that one's it made it. I'm
not
sure it made it a little
not
easier
that. I mean,
for you.
this kid was like the nicest kid, but I'm just saying, like, when you hand it off to a stranger, you're like, it was hard. But yeah, I mean, the James Conner has been with me. Lamar's been with me for 4 years, and Connor's been with me for like 6 maybe or 7. He's been with me for a while. Maybe 6. Let me think. Well, whatever his career is.
When did the Jets get Le'Veon Bell? It was the year before that. Would have been his rookie year.
Yeah,
Because he went off the year that the Steelers.
I gotta
Le'Veon
think
Bell
about
didn't
it.
play.
So I've had.
But let's just be honest.
Yeah.
This card, you made a killing off of this card.
I did in our deal, and like I said, this is like the best deal not caught on camera.
Absolutely. The negotiation. Well, it's not that the negotiations necessarily took 2 hours.
So what I say, I had the card 6 years. 2017.
Yeah. So we were basically chatting during that whole time, and the negotiation was kind of on the secondary.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while, one of us would get back into it, and then we'd talk about it for like 5-10 minutes.
But it was
and then we start talking about something else.
It was like literally it's like a TV show you would want to watch.
Oh yeah.
Like in the midst of it, I'm like, Murph, this was really cool.
Legitimately, that would have been a fun piece of content.
Yeah.
I really wish we would have thought to record that.
Well, we'll have more dealings. We'll have more wheelings and dealings.
But
so and I don't know if I ever show this on camera, but this is my Shohei Ohtani that I got at the last trade show, courtesy of Josh Gideon, a 9.5 out of 10 SGC, and I'm just happy to have my Shohei because Murph has talked about. He said on the show before, I bought a bunch of Shoheis, bought 11 of them.
Yeah,
this is the card that he bought.
Exact card
that he's sending in to get graded.
Haven't yet. Obviously, his market's down right now, which is unfortunate. But
yeah,
but that's it's just what happens when he gets hurt.
Well, the good thing about grading is that whether the market's up or down, it's not like your cost is like, oh, his market's up, so now it's this much, right?
It's not going to change the.
It's a set price, and then you just wait till it goes back up because obviously, as soon as Shohei picks a team, if he stays or goes somewhere else, that thing's going to skyrocket.
When he wins the MVP,
and the fans are going to go nuts.
When he signs, his cards are going to shoot up.
Maybe that's
why I kind of want to get those cards graded ASAP.
Is it a telltale heart? If Mike Trout is talking now, if he wants to be traded, is that the telltale heart that
Shohei's gone?
Shohei's gone. Yeah, I think so.
However, I do think this injury is the one thing that could keep Shohei in LA with the Angels. But realistically,
I think the Yankees and the Mets are going to really put some money at him.
I think the four most logical teams here: the San Francisco Giants, the Los Angeles Dodgers,
New York,
the Mets, and the Yankees.
Yeah.
That's the four most logical destinations.
Padres have a stupid amount of money.
I don't know where they keep getting this money from.
I never would have thought
owner was that rich.
I never would have thought the San Diego Padres would be one of the highest wheeling and dealing.
No way they can get Shohei.
They already have three.
They are locked in to.
They got a lot of big contracts.
They are locked into a ton of guys, but that team's never going to change. It's Tatis, it's Machado, it's Bogarts. That team is not changing anytime soon. They are in trouble with that.
And look at who's still home.
Yep.
Downtown Kenny Pickett. Downtown Kenny Pickett's still with me.
No success trading it for a Trevor Lawrence RPA, but that's okay. I found him a couple, but they were a little pricey. And it was one of those things where I told him, hey, if you want to go look at one, this guy's got 2 or this guy's got 1. But...
I thought eBay was high. These people were friggin' out of the water.
They probably priced those the same way I priced my Ronald Acuna refractor rookie auto, prospect auto.
Yeah.
That was my toughest sale of the day.
Yeah.
I had I made a killing off of it, so I did okay. But I had a Ronald Acuna Jr. Bowman's Best Refractors prospect auto from 2017. It was a BGS 9510, which is the best grade that a card can get. A 9.5 is their gem mint grade. A 10's pristine, and then I think they have a 10 with a black label or something like that is like their absolutely flawless card. But that card, I had priced at $500 when I first got it. I think I paid $325 for it, or maybe $350 at the most. It wasn't a big deal, so I don't exactly remember how much I got for it. But I thought that was probably going to stay with me until after the MVP. And then I'd sell it and, probably get maybe more than $500 for it. But I had a guy come in that was really interested in it. That was probably the most interest I got in that card at that price.
Yeah.
And I went into there knowing exactly what I would take for it. I've known exactly what I would take for it for weeks. And the number he offered me was exactly what that number was. So as soon as he said that, I knew he was interested.
Yeah.
So I met him in the middle. He offered me $450 for that card. I had a price of $500. He offered me $450. I came back at $475, prepared to go lower if I had to. But he took the deal at $475, and I was more than happy to sell it. It is sad that it's not going to come home with me. I've had it for 3 or 4 months now, but that's all right. I made a pretty good amount of money on it. It's like the Josh Allens.
Yeah.
Those Josh Allens I sold yesterday, a couple people thought I could have gotten more for them, but I was like, why do I want to take them home? I'm going to get the most money for them in Buffalo or in upstate New York.
Right.
Whereas there's a lot of Buffalo Bills fans.
Yeah, there's a couple of people that were like, oh, you should have waited. You shouldn't have done that. Bad deal. And I was
could
like,
have taken them home.
I was like,
I made money on all those cards. I made probably 70-ish, $80 combined between those 4 cards.
That wasn't a bad deal.
Yeah.
You got it.
Why don't I care?
You got it.
I made $80 on 4 cards.
The longer this card, I will tell you this, the longer the downtown Kenny Pickett stays with me, the more attached I'm going to get because I'm already getting attached to this card.
So we almost need you to sell it.
I need to sell it.
We need to sell it for you to get that RPA of Trevor. Create some more capital. And that was also part of the reason why we made the deal for this was I wanted to try and help him get a little more capital so that he can go get that Trevor RPA. And also because I know people that would be interested in this card.
Yeah. So,
we'll see. We'll see. If I move it, obviously I'll let you know. But I'm also thinking of grading it, right?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's a 10, but I think it could be a 9. And if it does come back a 9, that is going to increase the value of it a little bit. If by some miracle it does get a 10, like I told him last night, I'll give you a little bit more money when I sell it.
Yeah, which again shows the character of Murph. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. Good deals, Murph. We'll be back after this to wrap up the show and get you set for Alfred University's president, Mark Zupan, right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, hanging out all around the world, and we are, of course, with you on many different outlets. YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Worldwide live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Once you go live, we jump into the archives: Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, and more. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of your favorite podcasting platforms, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. You can also ask Alexa and your Google Home device to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that for you as well. Big time thanks to our incredible partners, Carvel DeWitt, where we have our own sundae, the DT Dolphin, and that is mint chocolate chip, obviously green for the Dolphins, topped off with hot fudge, whipped cream, cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream every single time. Remember, Wednesday is Sunday, and what we mean by that is buy one, get one DT Dolphins on Wednesdays. The Wildcat Sports Pub, where we were last night, enjoying some fantastic food and game coverage. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the amusement park for your mouth, in my opinion. All of the awesome stuff that they have, from chocolate dipped pretzels, chocolate dipped Oreos, their lemonade, their cotton candy, kettle corn, popcorn, their premium corn, which is the Elvis is my favorite one. It's banana flavored popcorn with Reese's peanut butter drizzle. Fantastic. GG Cards and Breaks, where we're going to be today. We have been to GG Cards and Breaks every day that Brendan's been here. Saturday, yesterday, and we will be back there today. Why? Because when Brendan and I make money, we're like, well, what are we going to buy now? So the Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, led by our fearless leader, Jim Sikowski, who I cannot thank enough for making this so much more than a chicken sandwich. Their food is fantastic, but the people at Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay are even better. And if you want to see how true that is, run through the drive-thru Monday through Saturday, as well as go inside. Pizza Man, where we'll be heading today, and we just got to do Toppings and Touchdowns, a new segment that I created here for Wake Up Call, and making my Hispan-Italian pizza, which was fantastic. PB&J's Lunchbox, 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. It is by the Thruway, the Highway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, centrally located for you to try some amazing flavors that you won't find anywhere else, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. The only place that I trust to take care of Miss Lily, besides my family themselves, Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding of East Syracuse, with short-term and long-term care for your wonderful members of your family. I call them the hairy members of your family, but then people are like, why are you talking about Uncle Bob like that? So the Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding of East Syracuse. A big time shout out to Mother's Cupboard, where I have my own sandwich, the Cuse McMother, and you can get that 7 days a week, 3709 James Street in Syracuse, with a restaurant that is synonymous with our city. The Cuse McMother. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Cut it up and have it with syrup. 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the restaurant is the name of the location. Open Tuesday through Saturday weekly for your dining pleasure. It's our 5-star Michelin restaurant, in my opinion, set in the heart of downtown Syracuse. Great Lakes Honda City, where I get all my vehicles because I put my money where my mouth is. And Avicoli's, where we have our monthly Liverpool shows. And that grandma's pie, I cannot stop thinking about. I can't believe I've gone to Avicoli's for so many years, got so many great things, and had never gotten that until head coach of the Liverpool Warriors football team, Mr. Sindoni, said, Dan, did you try this before? No. And I'm sitting there doing the show, and he says to his daughter, he goes, get him a slice. Get him a slice. And if you know Joe Sindoni, he is as Italian as they come in all the best of ways. And he was like, get Danny a slice. Come on, get Danny a slice. I would eat that pizza cold underneath I would eat that pizza cold on the wet Giants-Cowboys field yesterday. That's how good that pizza is from Avicoli's. So thank you to Avicoli's for all you do. And of course, for the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call. You'll find the Dolphins during Dolphin Time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. First and third Wednesday of each month, AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. A giant Dolphin Dive is coming to you this week, with President Dr. Linda Lemura rejoining the show for a wonderful conversation you won't want to miss a second of. Find all of our content by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Also going to wakeupcalldt.com. And for more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. Fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats all throughout the year with student athletes, coaches, and administration. The most recent Bobcat Buzz has me doing one-on-one conversations with the men's soccer team, with Nekawan Mark Don III, as well as Sean Altidore Vio joining the broadcast. Make sure you don't miss those on all of our social media channels and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as our panel discussion with Nekawan, as well as Sean and their head coach and athletics director of Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, Nick Dmitrievsky. They started their season over the weekend, and continued coverage of the men's soccer team and so much more will continue on the Bobcat Buzz. Subscribe to youtube.com, as I said, /wakeupcalldt. And for more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And a big time shout out to the women's soccer team, who kicks off their season at 4 p.m. today at Hilbert College. The Alfred University Saxons are a part of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as exclusive multimedia marketing partners with the show, and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, LLC. The Saxons come to you during Saxon time, and it's a little bit later today, so we appreciate your patience. But every Monday, Saxon time at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, first and third Monday of each month with the presidential perspective, including today, featuring President Mark Zupan of the Alfred University Saxons, joining me to speak on the College of Business, their extremely high job placement and grad placement rate that they have for their graduates, as well as all the majors and minors that they offer, with a very eclectic group, including equine management, because they're so big into horses in the equestrian world. And that's really cool and interesting. They have sports management as well. And they said that they cannot graduate their accounting majors quick enough because they want them immediately to be placed 100%, which is incredible and really awesome. So you get to hear that story from Mark Zupan today, and many stories throughout the year. And of course, every second and fourth Monday, we have the Saxon Spotlight, speaking with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni about what it means to be a Saxon and their journey. We have under-promised and over-delivered with Saxon Spotlight takeovers an entire week by the football team a few weeks ago, and the Labor Day special last Monday, where we had 15 student athletes / coach conversations taken over Wake Up Call all day long. Find out more information on your Saxons by going to GoSaxons.com. And of course, find all their content on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. And as the website tells you, go Saxons. With that being said, here for Murph on Wake Up Call on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, on wakeupcalldt.com, and all of our podcasting platforms, and youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Murph, I will say the thing that I always say at the end of the show, but not before you have the last word. Whatever you want to say.
Been a pleasure being up here. Appreciate the hospitality, my friend. And we're definitely going to be hoping to do that again. But one real quick last salute to the fallen men and women on the tragic day of September 11th, 2001. We thank you for your ultimate sacrifice for us. And just know that you did not go in vain. It brought us all together, and hopefully it can continue to do that as we are, like we said, going through some times where we're a little bit far apart right now. Hopefully remembrance of that day can help start to bring us together a little bit more.
Yeah, if that day taught me anything, it's that evil will never prosper and God raises heroes. So I appreciate y'all. I send you my love. I send my prayers to all the families and to everybody up in heaven that passed away from this. And to my country and to this world, I ask you one simple thing. Love each other. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon.